we'll take your thoughts, Heather, on the record.
Sure. So, yeah, everyone spoke very highly. You have my notes there from each of the folks I spoke with. One was a DPW director in a town where he was working. One is the administrative person in one of the towns where he currently works. And one of them is a state building inspector who used to be the building inspector in a town where he was a while back. So they've all had different opportunities to be experienced with Bill in different ways. They also had an opportunity, most of them, to work with him when he himself was a contractor. And they've had great experiences with him. They say that in general, he's very good. One of his biggest strengths is that he dives into problems, researching them and working on finding solutions, and very good at follow through, that he does his best to communicate with everyone with that information, and to get along with everybody. He is able to disagree with someone and still move forward and have a good working relationship with someone that he may disagree with. And that's pretty much what I have there. I don't remember every detail, Greg, verbatim, because it was yesterday, but I did write down as many bullet points as I could. If my writing is legible, you all will have that in front of you.
All right. As we haven't had any other applicants, and building inspectors are hard to come by, and I was satisfied after meeting with him and listening to his responses that we could, bring him on as our commissioner. What did you think, Dylan?
I felt the same. I was really impressed with Bill, and I think that he would be a good asset.
I think one important thing to call out, we talked about briefly after his interview, was that people were concerned about the office hours. But I would think, we'll have to read the contract, what we've written in there as requirements, but certainly I think, each of the towns should be able to have certain requirements for office hours if they want, whether he likes them or not. It's not his time, it's our time. I understand he says it's not an effective use of his time, but he can make use of the office time, I think, for whatever, for making phone calls, for receiving phone calls, for, filling out paperwork. But I think most people like to have a commissioner available to go see him face to face, ask a couple of questions, maybe show him something. I just like the idea of having some office hours. So I would think we would still stick with that.
What is the so do we still have details to work out of the commissioner's duties per town? Is that correct?
I think our job description has a brief statement of everything he's supposed to be doing under his title. And I don't know how clear we've made it on specifics like office hours, or how much direction each town can give him for office hours. But we have a basic division of hours laid out there, I believe. And one thing we probably don't have in there, we should probably put a 90-day probationary period in there for him. Because if this did turn out to be some sort of major issue with other towns, we'd have to have some recourse. So I would like to see a 90-day probation period under his hiring. Not that I want to hold up his medical things for that time frame, but I just want to, hold on to that 90-day, period, just in case.
So are you recommending that we revise the letter in the packet if we decide to go forward with that offer?
When we make an offer, I think it should include a 90-day probation period. That's all.
Makes sense to me.
We can have a board review at the end of 90 days and just use it as a review point and then continue from there. And I'm not. Heather, did you send us a copy of the draft that we can refer to right now, or not?
Yeah, it's the second page in that packet that I emailed out earlier today.
Okay.
Or probably second or third page. I don't know. It's around the notes, right after the notes or before the notes.
Yeah, page 4.
You'll see. Thanks, Dylan.
So if you understand what I'm saying, Heather, just put a probationary period in there.
Yep.
Let me read. And is there anything more on his job description we have posted, or have we not done that?
I'm not sure I am fully understanding your question, Greg.
Do we have any outline job description in writing that you know of, or are we just hiring them as a commissioner to run the office as they see fit?
We have the job description that the board voted on. If you remember, we amended it a couple months ago with regards to saying regional building commissioner, and that the individual reports directly to the Barre Board of Selectmen as their employee.
And that's
but
what
we
saying.
don't
We did
spell
have a break.
out.
Do we have a breakdown of our division roughly in that?
We don't have it in that. You're thinking of the budget that we drafted. So my understanding, I had a conversation with Andrew today too to make sure that I was clear on this. So my understanding in the IMA, or the agreement with the other towns for this program, is that we currently divvy it up based on approximate number of hours that the building commissioner works. And what's supposed to happen, as I understand it, is at the end, we're supposed to go back and review and see if the split of the hours is the same.
Right. So we just kind of let the budget define it. He'll do whatever he has to do for all 4 towns. However he sees fit.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And then, depending on when the Board of Selectmen, I was hoping to have the budget ready to go for tonight, and I was still getting stuck on a couple things that wasn't making sense. Something's wrong with the math on a part of it. So I wanted to make sure I get that correct before I have you guys approve it. But from what I was hearing from Keenan and from Nancy when they tuned in on Tuesday from 2 of the other towns, it seemed like they were okay with, whatever the budget was as presented to them. As far as their allocations go, they just wanted to make sure that everything was in working order. So, but okay. I did put in the offer letter, if you're looking at it, Greg, I did put it in there for 35 hours, as we had talked about in the oversight committee.
Because it will be salaried.
Yes, it will be salaried.
Okay. The only other thing I said is I'd like to put in this letter, maybe Kim, it's difficult to add a 90-day probationary period. And after that, it's what did we say? It's a 2-year or 3-year contract for this? 3, isn't it?
Well, usually I don't think we often do contracts with the building commissioner. It's not one of the positions that's permitted under Mass General laws to have a contract. So we just do an appointment. So the Board of Selectmen would vote to do a, 1, 2, or 3-year appointment of this individual to the position of the regional building commissioner position.
Okay, so do we have the ability to do a probation period? Or do we not even bother trying? Is the next question.
Oh, you can absolutely do a probationary period. We probably already have one in the personnel policies. I wasn't able to put my finger on it. Most towns have either a 90-day or a 6-month probationary period, and it just makes it a little bit easier under the laws in the event that a person doesn't work out, that you're able to part ways.
All right. Then let's not mess with that, Dylan. If it, this is an offer for 1 year at this point. I would say. And if there's a probation built in the town, we don't want to state something in here which could conflict with it, since we're not sure. So I'm going to back off on saying we should add that to this. But I'd be comfortable.
Okay.
I mean, airing any. I don't know. I want to get the reason I want to go move forward is to get an answer to Bill. It's not that I'm worried that we're rushed for time to get someone in the place, but I want to get an answer to Bill before he moves on to something else. And I think we should, move forward with this if you agree.
I agree. Yes.
And then I'd accept a motion for the hiring, extending of the offer.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we extend an offer of employment for the position of Regional Building Commissioner to William Cantel.
And I will second that. Is there any further discussion? I'll call for a roll call vote for this.
Clark, yes.
O'Sullivan will be yes. And note that we are missing Selectman Urban. And the next item we wanted to discuss was the alternate pay and schedule for Bob Legary. As you know, Dylan, you might recall, Dylan, we talked about bringing somebody else in, and we hashed back and forth what we were going to pay him and how we were going to pay him for coming in for call stuff, because Bob was scheduled to go out for a surgery and wouldn't be here. But as it turned out, Bob could stay, and we haven't had to get anybody else. But as his description as the alternate inspector, I think we just pay him a minimal stipend for the year, because it's not intended to be, he's not intended to be used like this. So obviously I was thinking whatever we were planning to pay for our alternate, we should make that offer and, pay that to Bob, or wait till Heather talks to him to see if he's okay with that, how he's scheduled things. So maybe we don't have to move on that tonight, but discuss it if you want.
Yeah, it seems like more information from Heather and Bob makes sense to wait for that. So,
but you agree we should pay him something more than his stipend, since we've been relying on him solely for several months.
I do.
All right, so Heather, we'll table that for now and wait till you get back with Bob.
Okay.
Was it per diem not part of that? I seem to remember there being.
We talked about doing per diem pay per call. We have it in our minutes someplace exactly what we did, but an hourly rate or a per diem rate. But we'll get back to it as long as we know, we can put this on our next meeting. And she can bounce it off of Bob and find out maybe how many hours, how he's tracking his hours, how he's tracking his, permits, his inspections and things that he's done on our behalf. So we can make sure we pay him appropriately for it. And only other thing, old business, is Route 122 Scenic Byway. Do we have any update with that, Heather? Or?
Yeah, so there's a couple of emails in your packet along with a letter. So on, I don't know, whatever day we met last, that this came up, I sent a follow-up email to CMRPC, and I didn't hear back, so I sent another one sometime after that, but before now. All my days are merging together. I do apologize. It is dated, so it tells you whether it was today or yesterday. I believe I spoke to Gabe at CMRPC. One of the questions that had come up before this board was relative to signage and concerns about our businesses in town and being able to put up their signage. So there's an email that came back from Gabe where he highlighted the federal standard and where they talk about signage, and he didn't seem to think it was too much of an issue. He mentioned in there about like large billboards and off-site businesses. So not so much like, here's my shop and I have a sign that says the most amazing place ever, but more so, you wouldn't be able to put up a big billboard or a large sign that says, the best thing to buy ever, sold 1 mile down the road or next intersection. That's the way I understood the email. You both have the email as well, so you can take a look. The other email I have there is I reached out at Claire's suggestion on Monday night to Lucy Allen. Lucy gave some background, some information. One of Matt's concerns was if we were to go forward and submit the letter, that we weren't able to adequately fill in the box that suggested, the value of this being designated as a scenic byway to us and the importance of the area in and of itself. Lucy was able to go into a bunch of details in her email, and I asked her permission if I could use that and share that. She said yes. So I took components of it and put it into the letter of support in the event that the Board of Selectmen wish to proceed.
Okay, well, I'm reading some of this thing from CMRPC, and basically they have jurisdiction in restrictions for any signs within 660 feet of the edge of the roadway. So that would affect every single one of our businesses. That every one of them would have to conform to all these regulations. If I'm reading that correctly, which means direction of the sign has to conform to standards. Advertising, sale of property, to located signs advertised. I mean, there's a lot of things governing signs within 660 feet. And I don't know how to interpret that right now off a quick glance. But my concern is still there for signage when I'm reading. Have you looked at that, Dylan, as well at all? Or?
Yeah, I looked at it. Yeah, it's hard to know what the specifications they're asking for are with this.
Because they cite code.
Right. But otherwise, it disallows advertising, so you can't put a billboard saying that Walmart is 15 miles away. You can say that your own property is for sale. You can advertise your own business on your own property. It's hard to tell if this is too onerous of regulation or not without knowing the specifics.
Without getting into those.
But I do know that these CMRPC is on a pretty tight time frame, and our next meeting is when this needs to be submitted to whichever body they're submitting this to, this proposal to. So I don't know if we have time to keep working on this or not. What do you think, Greg? And Heather, for that matter.
Yeah. Heather, did you say there is any big benefit in this for us?
I don't know enough about it, Greg. So I had sent the last email, which I don't have as part of this packet, and I don't have access while I'm mobile here. But Dylan, if you have your computer in front of you, in the last packet, the CMRPC and some of the emails had actually detailed out why this was important. Because I had followed up with that question asking them. I mean, I can check my email on this and see if I can find that answer. But that was one of my questions is, what's the benefit and what are the restrictions? But I can check.
Heather, were you referring to a link at let's see, what is this? FHWA.dot.gov. Is that the site the link you were talking about?
I think there was an actual email, Dylan. But I thought there was an email where the body of it was detailing those pieces out. I'm trying to check the emails right now to see if I can find that one.
Well, Lucy Allen certainly sounds like she's in favor of it. Well, I'm reading the draft letter. It pretty much says what Lucy Allen said. And it does sound like the CMRPC is in favor of it. It does look more like the sign restrictions are probably to restrict new signage and advertising on the state route, which we don't do anyways. And if it should become an issue for any of our businesses, we can certainly, fight on their behalf to maintain what they have. But I'd be prepared to give our support to it, looking through these letters and things.
I would too.
So we'd have to basically give our support and approve the chairman to sign this letter going to the Scenic Byway Nomination Review Committee. It's in our pamphlet. It's page, I don't know.
Oh, the 10 and 11?
Yeah, 10 and 11. So if you want to refer to that.
Sure, yeah.
I make a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen send this letter in the packet by Matt Urban to the Scenic Byway Nomination Review Committee.
And authorize Matt to sign on our behalf.
And authorize Matt Urban to sign on our behalf.
I will second that wonderful motion. Any more conversation, debate about it? I'll call for vote. Roll call.
Yep. Clark, yes.
O'Sullivan, yes. And note that Matt Urban is absent. I believe that's all you had for us. You wanted us to go through, Heather? Might have lost her already.
Yes, sorry. Zoom, I don't have great service wherever I am right now in Leominster, so it takes a while to come back to the graphic.
Well, we're at 10 minutes of
But
6
yes, that's all I had.
anyways. If you have nothing else, I'd accept a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
I will second that motion. All in favor?
Clark, yes.
O'Sullivan, yes. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you
Bye,
next
everybody.
time.